These very small yellow flowers down here are orchids, but also the big frilly white ones in the background there are also orchids.
Perhaps it's the humidity, the woody aura, the glistening beads of dew. There's something about orchids that's enchanting. And perhaps that explains the scramble for fast disappearing numbers of rare species in the wild.
We know of species of slipper orchids, for example, which have been described in Southeast Asia in recent years, where people have been to the wild populations, they've stripped out every single living plant. And that's a whole species which has just disappeared from the wild because of people's greed.
There are around 28,000 species of orchids known to science. But a recent study that looked at 1,700 orchid species found 400 were endangered, 204 critically so, and 5 are now extinct. Demand for rare orchids dates back centuries. Victorian botanists went bonkers for blue vandas like these, sponsoring dangerous expeditions to unknown lands. They called the craze orchid delirium. But unregulated wild collection could have irreversible consequences. Some orchids are being harvested to extinction, their edible and medicinal properties forever lost. Rare orchids are protected under the same international wildlife laws as rhinos and tigers, but stopping them being trafficked around the world is much harder.
If a box of plants comes in which aren't in flower, then most customs officers won't be able to tell you that they're orchids. They don't know whether they're orchids or some other tropical plants. If a tiger skin comes in, then it's obviously a tiger skin. If an elephant's tusk comes in, then it's obviously ivory. So there is this problem about training people to actually be able to recognise orchids.
Collectors often know just what they're looking for, which keeps Kew Gardens' security team on high alert.
We've caught people climbing over the wall, trying to break into buildings. We've also had people visiting and taking cuttings of plants.
Surveillance runs around the clock, and the rarest, most delicate orchids stay behind glass.
We don't want to lock everything away. It's nice to be able for the public, the paying visitors, to come in and see some of our orchids, and they're the ones that I spend my time trying to protect, to make sure we've got the right security around to protect those.
Scientists now have the tools and technology to reintroduce some rare species back into the wild. But mindful of modern orchid mania, don't expect anyone to reveal where to find them.